Welcome back, fellow creators. In today's video, I want to take a thorough and informed look into my thoughts and theories as to why views have been decreasing on TikTok since January. This has been a real problem a lot of creators have been dealing with, and I've connected with dozens of creators offline who have actually straight up packed their bags and left the platform because of the lack of exposure and attention on ideas that they would post that otherwise would pull in millions of views per day. So let's discuss this in detail today. I have done a lot of research for this video, so consider liking this video down below if you appreciate my efforts, and stick around until the end to hear my thoughts on exactly what I think creators can do about this. So let's begin unpacking this information and let's talk TikTok. So this decrease in views, I really do think it comes down to three key changes in particular, but before we dive deep into those three, I want to discuss three account concepts that are important to understand before we go blaming the lack of exposure on the algorithm. Number one is the necessity of follower engagement. Now I know this sounds kind of like some scientific law of the universe, but it's actually quite simple. The life cycle of TikTok's algorithm operates such that as you gradually build an audience, the engagement ratio between your followers at the top of your profile and your videos needs to increase. For example, theoretically, if you were to gain 10,000 followers in a day from a viral video, a one-hit wonder, the amount of people willing to like, comment, super like, share, rewatch your video needs to increase as well. Not just on that one video, but on future videos on your profile. This is one of TikTok's primary ways of protecting and preventing against users who purchase followers or try to inflate their metrics in some way. A lot of these are fake accounts, and of course, those numbers aren't going to be reflected in the actual videos. Now, this lack of engagement also happens to creators who have viral videos that aren't related to the rest of their content. For example, you have a stitch or a duet about some random topic that blows up. Sure, you add 10,000 followers to your profile, but those viewers are very likely not interested in what you're going to post tomorrow, and so you see a decrease, your profile plateaus, and this happens all the time for creators. The second account concept is this: consistency is critical. You got to give me props for alliteration there. But this is the idea that if you take a break from posting for several weeks or several months, recognize it is going to take some time to build those views back up. Behind the scenes, accounts are ranked on TikTok. It's a concept known as account authority, and we've discussed this previously on this channel in interviews with actual TikTok employees. Accounts with 100,000 followers are going to have more weight, they're more established, they have more credibility than people just starting out. And one of the differentiating factors is your consistency with sticking to a regular upload schedule. TikTok rewards frequency, and so if you take a break, it's only natural that you'll see a decrease in views. Account concept number three is the watch percentage versus the total seconds. Now we've talked about this before. To summarize it very briefly, this is something that has changed to TikTok's algorithm in the past few months, and there is a strong difference between the percentage of your video watched. For example, 100% would be 8 seconds out of 8 seconds versus the total amount of seconds that your audience has retained. The algorithm has really started to prioritize a lot of longer content, and so to get a video 55 seconds going viral, you'll only need roughly a little bit more than half of that watched, which is roughly 30 plus seconds, versus an 8-second video in order to go viral needs not just 8 out of 8 seconds, but a rewatch ratio, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds out of 8 seconds. So I wanted to clarify that because what ratios you would receive previously back in 2020, 8 seconds out of 8 seconds might have made a viral video, is now kind of that minimum viable threshold that needs to be met in 2021. Okay, so with that all out of the way, let's now devote our attention to talking about this TikTok views predicament and get to the bottom of this issue. So the first thing I wanted to address, we'll talk about this in three sections. Number one are the new ad additions. Now, this decrease in views has not been any sort of blanket standard. There are legitimately creators left virtually untouched by any updates to the platform and still are garnering millions of views and engagement on a daily basis. That's been very clear to me. We're not just talking about top tier creators. We did a poll in our Facebook group about a month back and found that those creators who initiated and started their account back in early January, in that very first week, saw no decrease whatsoever. And so this issue of decrease in views seems to only plague those veteran accounts that started in 2020. And so there's this clear categorization of users and accounts that are affected by these updates or algorithmic changes and those who remain unfazed. What's happening with this group over here that's not taking place and is not a common denominator over here? What's the difference? Well, a few data analysts have theorized that TikTok is split testing, categorizing certain groups of accounts with the intention of upgrading their ad platform. By default, more ads on TikTok equals less organic reach for its creators, right? And it is a fact that TikTok has introduced more ads in 2021. Creators across the board have observed this, and so it's very likely TikTok is testing an updated algorithm to determine how many views are necessary to keep creators uploading videos on a daily basis. This has also been phrased the minimum organic reach necessary to satisfy you. And there's been a lot of evidence to back this up as far as TikTok wanting your opinions on this increase in advertisements shown and this decrease in views. In fact, users across Reddit and even some in our Facebook groups have posted screenshots of TikTok prompting them to share their opinion. TikTok really started promoting its ad platform in mid-January, and they launched several additional TikTok for Business ad campaigns at the same time, which very well may coincide with the view shift that people observed between the dates of January 12th and January 18th, as you can see with this screenshot here, for example. To further support this idea, TikTok has also mentioned substantially adding more money, additional revenue, to the Creator Fund to not only pay out creators that exist in the program, but also so that it can expand to other territories throughout the entire world. And a lot of this is funded directly through advertisements on the platform, which likely means an increase in advertisements so that the platform can continue to fund the fund. Next, let's talk about flagged videos. So TikTok back in 2020 announced that it was attempting to do a better job of communicating to creators the reason why certain videos on their profile are pulled down or removed, whether for mass reports or for community violations. However, unfortunately, a lot of these videos still fly under the radar and creators are left in the dark. I've had the opportunity of connecting with several members of TikTok's education and content analyst team on LinkedIn, and this is actually all part of a massive study coming soon, our thoughts and conversations, so you've got that to look forward to. But what we have discussed and talked about is the idea that creators often have flagged videos on their profile that have no official takedown or any sort of notification that they are flagged. TikTok operates roughly on a 3-strike violation system within a certain period of time, usually a week or so, similar to YouTube. If you have multiple videos that go against the guidelines in proximity to one another, it's very unlikely that the algorithm is going to promote any sort of future content kind of as a safety protocol. And what I've discovered through my own research efforts of comparing and contrasting banned videos that are simultaneously allowed in other profiles, and also factoring in the conversations that I've had with content analysts at TikTok and some of the interviews here on this channel, it's been very clear to me that there are creators who are notified of flagged videos, and they're continuing to post similar content, which only worsens the situation. Additionally, believe it or not, there have been many topics and keywords suppressed by TikTok and not allowed on the platform. And TikTok itself has actually been very outspoken about this. In fact, in their transparency report they just released last week for 2020, they mentioned a few keywords that are part of their hash bank of banned tags and topics. I don't want to go too in depth on these because a lot of them are very, very political, but I'll leave this report linked down below if you want to read further. All right, so the third thing that I want to discuss is the newly implemented video review period. This has actually confused a lot of creators. TikTok has now implemented a brief review period when you post your videos, and I haven't yet exactly figured out what the differentiating factor is between those creators that are subject to this review. It seems to be quite random in its selection as to who this applies to. This usually happens if you post too frequently, post around a controversial topic, have poor lighting in the video, or post more than one video at once. It's not a bad sign whatsoever. I think it's just TikTok's attempts at trying to preempt any sort of potentially objectionable content. Now here's where it gets really, really interesting. This review period I've seen last from a few minutes all the way up to a few days later when your video finally hits the For You page. There's a spectrum there. I see this as a consistent pattern. It's almost as if there's a queue of videos and your video falls somewhere in that order that's getting reviewed. So just taking a step back, what can we as creators really do about all of this? Well, I think there's a couple things. First of all, make sure it's not an internal issue with your content, which very well may be the case. I would encourage you to compare the watch time, the analytics, the metrics you're receiving on your content now with what would have produced hundreds of thousands of views on your videos previously back when things were going well. Did you change anything? You might actually consider creating a separate profile just to test the content on. You're not giving up on your previous account whatsoever. That's not my intention here. You're just isolating the videos from the account. Secondly, if you're not already, and I know this sounds fairly obvious, but it's what the algorithm is prioritizing, be posting original content with original visuals and original audio that is in line with TikTok's community guidelines, which by the way are changing every single week, so it's good to just refresh your memory on these if you're in a niche that potentially is on edge with what you think might be allowed or not allowed on TikTok. Feel free to recycle ideas that you posted way back in the first few days of TikTok. If there's any ideas that did well, you might consider recreating or reposting the original file in your camera roll with updated hashtags or audio. If there's any idea that you have that you think might go against the violations, you don't know, don't even take the risk. TikTok's algorithm is just far too scrupulous for that in 2021. Third and finally, you know how much I wish there was some kind of a magic formula or a magic pill that I can give you that could rectify and solve this view problem overnight. But I really do think patience is key, and I realize realize that waiting it out isn't the answer that you were hoping to hear, but to be honest, there's very little that we as creators can do other than attempting to pull the Wall Street bets on TikTok by banding together and emailing them directly about our concerns, which I would encourage you to do. And if you think about it strategically from the platform's perspective, that unpredictable chance for virality on the For You page is what keeps creators hooked and coming back to the platform, uploading video day after day. If you kill that magic, you kill the essence of TikTok, and I do believe the platform is full aware of that. So I, for one, am very confident that this issue will be resolved soon and that the outcome will be a positive one for creators. So if you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed my thoughts, be sure to leave a like down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Take care. Cheers.